Okay, hello and welcome to the video. My name is Wade Daniel Smith, and I'm about to turn 44 years old on December 4th. I'll be 44 years old, and I am old enough to remember when the state and federal minimum wage was $3 per hour even. Um, and the United States was way more prosperous when the minimum wage was $3 per hour than it is now. I can remember when a gallon of milk was 50 cents per gallon. And I can remember when you could get, soft drinks from a soda machine for under 35 cents per each. And that was probably a rip-off rate at that. They were probably making a 100% profit charging you 35 cents for a soda from a soda machine at the time. And now you go to a soda machine and they want $2 for a soda that's the same size. I'm old enough to remember when you could get a three-piece white dinner and it was a full-grown chicken back then from Popeyes with a drink on the side and a real side order for $2.99. And that wasn't even that long ago. That was only 20 years ago. Um, Now, if you go to get a three-piece white from Popeyes, the chicken is less than half grown and the side order is less than half the size, and you can't even afford to get the drink because the drink is $3 or $4 by itself. All right, and and where is the money going? It's going to black people who are being paid minimum wages of 10, 12, 15, $20, depending on what state you're in. That's where it's going, and they're unskilled work. An employer should be free to pay an unskilled laborer whatever they are actually worth, not a minimum wage of 12 to 15 to $20 an hour. If they are only worth $1 an hour, they should only be paid $1 an hour. And the employer should be free to fire you for any reason whatsoever, with or without reason, because it's their property and it is their business. All right. And, I'm not a business owner and I say that. It is their property and it is their business. And if you are no longer worth it to them for any reason, your fault, my fault, nobody's fault, the employer should have a right to fire you that very same day. If you are not making enough money to justify your existence working for the company for some reason, the employer should have a right to fire you. If you backtalk him for some reason, the employer should have a right to fire you. If you violate the employer's religion, the employer should have a right to fire you. Because it is their property and it is their business. If I owned a business, I would not hire a homosexual and I would not hire a woman who had an abortion. I would tell them to get lost, regardless of what the law of the land says. There is no way in hell that I would ever hire a woman who had had an abortion, or there is no way in hell that I would ever hire an LGBTQ to work for me. I wouldn't do it. Forget the law, because the law is evil. The God I serve says those things are wrong, and I am not supporting them by hiring them. And an employer ought to have a right to do that because it says the First Amendment says you have a right to freedom of religion. I should not have to violate God's commandments as a business owner or employer. When God says, "Thou shalt not have sex with animals, and thou shalt not lie down with mankind as with womankind, it is abomination," he meant it. And when he said, "Thou shalt not murder," he meant it. So why should employers have to hire abortionist women or LGBTQs? And why should anybody working for the government have to serve anybody that's violating their religion? They should not. But certainly, if you are not worth more than $1 an hour to your employer should not have to pay you more than $1 an hour. And if you're not worth more than 1 cent per hour, the employer should not have to pay you more than 1 cent per hour. I've seen people working in Burger King who aren't worth 1 cent per hour. That literally cost the company $20 or $30 an hour. and should have been both fired and sued. But because of the way the law works, the company couldn't fire the person that was so freaking incompetent. If you are not worth more than 1 cent per hour, you should not be paid more than 1 cent per hour. There shouldn't even be a minimum wage. Even Jesus said the servant is worthy of his hire, and that's all he's worthy of. He's not worthy of a minimum wage that's worth more than what his job is worth. Now they've inflated the dollar so much that you have to make $120,000 a year to afford to buy a home of your own or more. Even a small home, if you don't make $120,000 a year, there's no way you're going to make the mortgage and the insurance payments. You used to be able to build your own home and live in it and pay the insurance on it and the electric bill for $20,000 a year and raise your family on all of that. But they have inflated the dollar by at least a factor of 6 to 10 on everything that you buy and sell in this country in just the past 25 to 30 years. And they've inflated the federal debt in my lifetime from less than 5 trillion to I think it's over 35 trillion officially now, not counting the unofficial debt that's still coming that they already owe, probably about 60 trillion more coming down the pipe. Where is all this money coming from? Because Donald Trump doesn't make that much and Elon Musk doesn't make that much. Kamala Harris is sitting there telling you they're going to tax all the rich people. If you taxed every corporation in this country 100%, it would only add up to a couple $1 trillion. Where do you think $35 trillion is coming from, you lying witch, devil worshiping witch? Where do you think you are going to get $25,000 per couple or per person to buy first-time homeowners? There is no such thing as magic money coming off of trees. And if you took every cent Donald Trump and Elon Musk and what's his name, the owner of Amazon, for some reason his name is slipping my mind. If you took all of the millionaires and billionaires' money in this country combined, every cent of it, you couldn't afford to pay people that. So where are you thinking you're getting the money from? You're just a liar, and you know that your own party is uneducated fools, and you know that you can lie to them and they will believe you. That's all you are, Kamala Harris. And the Democrat Party is full of uneducated morons who are going to vote for you just because you promised them $25,000 a home. You're buying a vote illegally with fake money that does not exist. Can you even add up to $1 trillion? Probably not. I can.